Pathmark is the AI for website conversions. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in the buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmark qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmark to your website in seconds, let the artificial intelligence do all the work, and then increase conversions by more than 50% while you keep doing marketing as usual. Check us out on pathmark.com. All right, everyone, welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Nakita Rowell from ComTech. Good to have you here today. Nakita, how's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Of course. So I usually have this, bit of an intro for our guest company, right? But I want to hear from you. So in your own words, what's the heart of what you do at ComTech, and how would you describe it to someone new?
So ComTech, we are an integrated security company, and I know that sounds like a mouthful when I explain it that way. And basically, what it means is that we provide all things physical security. So from access control when you're trying to control key cards getting into to secure buildings, video surveillance, mass notifications, intercoms. We basically put together all of those solutions, and we're what you would call a security integrator. And what that means is that we're product agnostic. We're not a product centric company. We have a number of different companies that we partner with because we believe in providing high-end, high-quality solutions. But the most important thing for us is to be able to put together a custom solution that's going to fit the unique needs of our customers. So that's one of the things I think that makes us a bit unique, and is just that we're very customer-centric. We're focused on providing a solution that's going to work for them, and not, let's do this product. This product is better than this, then better than this. We want to hear from our customers and understand what their needs are and how we can solve their problems.
Okay, that's good. And so I'm just assuming here, obviously, but do you work with the government as well in terms of doing security or?
Actually, yeah, that's a huge sector of our company base. We're actually so we're a Georgia-based company, and we're on the Georgia state contract. And what that basically means is that we provide preferred pricing for government entities based off of that state contract. And there are only a few companies that are actually qualified to be on that contract, and we're in all four categories for security for that. So that makes us a really prime partner to work with for government. So we do a lot of local government work here in Georgia.
Okay, that makes sense. As soon as you said security, I was like, yeah, probably government is involved. So,
Oh yeah.
besides government, what kind of type of businesses or industries even do you feel you're able to serve the best? I mean, and I guess in a way, the question is also about what's the core problem that you solve for them, and what can they expect when they come to you?
So the most important thing, what people want is they want to feel secure, right? So we live in a day and age where that's the price for that is becoming higher and higher, just because we're seeing more incidents and things happen all around the world. So what they want is that you want to be able to walk into work and know that I'm safe. And know that, if someone is going crazy on the street, they can't just walk in our building. So that's really what we are. That's the problem we're trying to solve, is just giving people peace of mind and making them feel safe. That being said, when you go outside of that government sector, there's a lot of different types of companies that we can support, and because we have different solutions that can meet different budgets based on what they're looking for. So it could be someone as small as maybe a small car dealership that wants to make sure that they're protecting their assets, and they want to have cameras to be able to see what's happening from 7 a.m. all the way to midnight, right? So we can protect those guys, all the way to someone like I've met with small owners of gyms that might have a small gym, and they have 24-hour access, and they need to have those cameras to provide that 24-hour access, but they also have to have those key codes and fobs for those members to get in and out of those out of the building, and we can provide that for them. So we can really cover the gamut in terms of what the types of verticals that we can support. Typically, when you look at investing in something like this, it's usually someone who has not just their people assets that they're looking to protect, but maybe they have very expensive physical assets. So if they have, a car dealership is a perfect example, because a car itself isn't hugely expensive, but when you've got hundreds of them on a lot, that's a huge asset, right? And they want to make sure those assets are protected. Even in the case of something like a disaster, like, in Florida, they just had all these hurricanes, right? When you have stuff like that happen, even though that's not the same thing as someone coming in and trying to steal a car, when they're trying to file claims for insurance, if they have some way of being able to track some of that footage before any of that damage was done to the cars, that could help them with their claims. So it's a lot of different ways they could look at being able to use that information.
Okay. I like how you used we protect them. And I don't know if it's just like something that you feel you're doing like with your work, right? But it means a lot, I'm sure, for someone that, say, I'm someone who runs a jewelry shop, right? Maybe it's relevant, right? Because there's valuables inside, and obviously you want cameras, you want security, etc. So how would I find out about you? Yeah, I guess typically, how do they find out about you?
The number one way, and this pains me to say this, as being that this is a marketing show and I come from a marketing background, but the number one way is actually word of mouth. And it's just because ComTech has been around for 30 years. And so we have a lot of customers that speak well of us and what we do. Do we have a website? Yes. That website needs work. And it's a work in progress to really be able to create the engine that it should be to make it available for people to find get when they're in a situation and they're like, I need contact, I need help with security. We it's kind of happened organically, but I do know we have come up in some searches, and I think it was kind of like a happy accident, because before I came on board, like our president will tell you he knows nothing about marketing. He's great at sales. He's great at building relationships, and he's built a great company as a result of that. But if you ask him anything marketing, he's going to tell you, this isn't my wheelhouse. I don't know. But I had a meeting with a customer a few months ago, and I was like, well, how did you find out about us? And she was like, I Googled you. And I'm like, really? And I was very surprised, because that's not an area that they have focused on. So that's why I say happy accident. So, we have those cases, but for the most part, people tend to find out about us through just referrals and word of mouth. But that's not the goal. I mean, it is, but it isn't, right? I want
Right.
to increase the number of ways that people can find us.
Yeah, I mean, word of mouth is great, and that was the basis of everything, right? That's for sure. But of course, you want it to scale potentially, right? So that's probably not the best, but of course, it's really important. So, so this one person came through Google, right? They Googled you. So
Yeah.
did they land on your website? Is that how they found out, or?
They were looking, so in this case, they were looking for video surveillance. And I think they just Googled video surveillance. And we were one of the companies that came up. So I'm thinking that video surveillance may be somewhat optimized from like a SEO standpoint organically, our website, because that's what happened. She did a Google, saw ComTech, went to our website. It's like, oh, these guys provide what I'm looking for. And then they reached out.
There's one.
But just not out
You're
there.
right. Yeah, I mean, well, that's how most people come to know a business, really, to know they exist in the first place. Like, So, in terms of your website, do you feel it has any standout strengths at the moment? I know it's not been the focus for a long time, but maybe there are things that are strong and things that could be improved instead.
I will tell you from a marketing standpoint, there's a lot more that needs to be improved than I would say is strong. It's a very and it's really just because the website itself is a bit dated. It's a very, very basic website, and I don't necessarily think that ComTech needs to have a complex website. It just needs to be a little bit more robust than it is now. Um, can you find out what we do and who we are by going to it? For the most part, yeah. So it can get the job done in terms of providing like the basic information about the services that we provide. But it certainly could be better. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, right now I probably give it a 5 or 6 because it's giving you kind of the basic framework, but there's just a lot more work for us to do. And that's from just content, just the content, the flow, the overall look and feel of it just needs a little bit of a facelift, and it's just because they haven't done anything with it in some years.
Right. Okay. Okay. So your experience actually extends way beyond on tech, right? You've been in marketing for a long time. And so you're saying your website at the moment, there's room for improvement, right? 5 or 6, potential untapped, let's say. So in your experience as a marketer, is there anything that you've learned about what makes a great converting website, say a 9 or a 10 even? Maybe if you can mention any tools, tips, or approaches that you can recommend, that would be awesome for our audience.
So I'm gonna start from the content standpoint because I'm a content person. Uh, that's the heart of what I do and what I've been doing for as long as I can remember. So I will start by saying the content of the website, that's the heart of your website. People, you have to grab someone's attention. I think it's less than 10 seconds or something like that you have to be able to grab someone's attention and have them continue to look for more information. So want to be able to have content that's engaging, that's going to keep them on the site, and that's going to answer a pain point. So you asked me earlier, like, okay, well, what is the problem of your customer? What are the things that they're really experiencing that you solve? I think one of the biggest things you have to look at when you're doing a web page, especially on that home page, is when you're trying to reel them in, you've got to show them some some type of problem that you're solving that kind of hits them right there. So that's one piece of it. The other piece of it is storytelling. People love to relate to other people. They need to know that they're not whatever they're going through, they're not in it alone. So you need to be able to tell a story to kind of build that relatability. And that to me is what really draws them in to the site and is like, okay, I want to know more. Let me find out more about these guys and what they do. So I think those are two key things that are really important when it comes to building a strong website. Obviously, you need to have things like just good visuals. It's obviously important to have good imagery. You can't just have a lot of text, and it's good balance and things like that. You want to take your customer on a journey. Like, what do you want them to do when they come to your site? So there's a lot of different aspects of that. But if I had to tell you what to lead with when someone goes on your site, what they need, I would say those first two.
Okay, those are very good, and they're also they do take some work, right? So let's say, for example, that someone doesn't have that on their website at the moment. Um, it sounds like it will take some time, which it makes sense, right? Most more worthwhile things that will take some time.
Sure.
Um, but is there anything that you've learned that maybe even a tool, people like tools, so because it feels like they make things easier as opposed to you obviously have to learn the fundamentals and whatnot, but maybe some tools that you think maybe you tried in the past, right? And said, oh, this is a game changer, right? This was really good for this specific reason.
For websites
Yeah.
specific,
Marketing in general, but website, yeah.
um, if I go to marketing in general, I would say I'm a big fan of organization. So I kind of lean back on, and you tell me if I'm going too much outside the box, but I'm big on project management tools. And the reason my project management tools are important to me, I've worked with a lot of them. I don't really have a favor on one or the other. But the reason why those are so important is when you're working on a project like a website, and putting together the different components of a website, it's important to flush out all the things that need to be done. And it can seem overwhelming at first. And, every time I've ever worked with a client on a project, um, I always tell them, don't be overwhelmed by the process. We're going to take this one step at a time. And I think the value of a project management, using a project management system, is it allows you to take this huge project and break it up into small chunks, of what you're going to focus on one piece at a time, and deliver that to the customer one piece at a time and hold them accountable for every little piece that needs to get done, throughout the process. That to me, for any marketing project I've ever worked on, from a website to helping somebody put together a book, is essential because it takes that elephant, out of the project. Like, oh my goodness, this is too much, to like, okay, oh, I need to focus on this for right now. So that's a big piece for me. I don't know if does that answer your question as far as tools?
Oh yeah, I mean that's super helpful actually, because I'm thinking most people go right into the tool that's a quick win, low hanging fruit, however you want to call it. But you're actually thinking about the execution, right? So I'm the person working on this. What do I need to do? Let me take a step back and actually have a look at what I need to do and get organized. Because most people get overwhelmed, and no matter the tool, then if you have a process to follow and a way to visualize that, which I guess one of the tools that you have used or you use do that, right? Asana, Trello, anything
Yep,
like that, right?
absolutely.
So yeah, that's actually very helpful. It makes me think that you're a producer, right? Because you're a creative, you're a producer. So you think about, okay, what do I need to do to achieve the end of this project and achieve my goals, right? And well, that makes me actually want to switch gears a little bit and talk about you as a leader, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So so I'd be curious to know what are the key tasks that you focus on your day-to-day work?
So it varies. So if we're looking at the things that I'm doing with ComTech, um, I wear a lot of hats with them because it's a small company. So like my biggest goal right now is how do we continue to grow our Georgia market, which is our primary market that we're growing right now. So I interface with customers on a regular basis. I'm working on trying to automate some of our processes just because, as I mentioned, a lot of stuff with regards to marketing is very new to this company. So I'm trying to introduce them to ways to really scale. So right now I'm trying to in the process of putting together some email marketing pieces to really help us optimize how we are communicating out with our customers. Very simple part of marketing, but we didn't have that in place. So I'm working on doing that. We do a few trade shows a year, so I attend those and talk to customers there and interact with them there. Um, Working on coordinating some quarterly quarterly meetings with like lunch and learns and coordinating those, where we can kind of um, set up meetings with some of our partners because we work with a lot of different partners to execute what we do, and coordinate those, where we're inviting them out for like, hey, come out for a free lunch, and then we're going to kind of go over these different things. So a lot of what I do also involves managing and kind of being a liaison between the partner relationships that we have and how we can leverage those partner relationships. So it's a lot of relationship building, but at the same time, I'm layering on top of that, okay, how do we build some strategy behind the things that we're doing instead of just kind of being a workhorse and doing the same thing over and over and over again and not getting we're getting results but not scaling our results. So that's kind of been a big focus for me in terms of trying to figure out how do we shift that. One of the things I've already talked to our president about is working on that website as a project. Like, okay, we need to work on how we can make this a little bit better, make it more user friendly, and put some things together with regards to that. So that's a project that's at the outset. And obviously, because I mentioned that we do a lot of business on the government front, a big part of it for me is also working on government bids and putting together our templates and responding to government bids, and putting those together. So that's kind of in a nutshell a little bit of what I do, but then still kind of purely scratching the surface of the things that we're working on. So it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? When you said I wear many hats, I don't know how many people out there are just raising their hand. I'm like, yes, that's me as a marketer, especially if you work for a small company or a startup, even I can totally relate to that. So, and it sounds to me like those relationships that you're creating, that you're nurturing with your customers will help a lot when you go into the creation of the new website or whatever it may be, because that's pure gold, right? You've been in the trenches, speaking to customers, to trade shows and whatnot, and that's gonna be very helpful, I think, at this point. Okay, so that was interesting. Thanks for that. So we're coming to the end of the interview, Nakita. So let's jump into our rapid fire questions. You ready?
Yep.
So only short and crisp answers are needed. Okay. All right, let's do it. So
Okay.
what's the last book you read?
So this was a reread, but it's Referral of a Lifetime, like Tim Templeton. Um, just a great book and always a good one to kind of reread every year or so.
Anything that stuck with you?
It's really just about how to build systems and how to automate the referral process. It's an older book, but it's really talking about how to really build a marketing automation system based off referrals. So it's really interesting to look at it and see how to apply the modern day version of what we're doing in marketing with those same concepts that have kind of been the same in marketing for years.
Okay, very good. So if there were no limits with technology, what's the one thing that you love to solve that would make your life as a marketer way easier?
If they were okay, say that one more time. If there were no limits with technology,
No limits with technology. What's the one thing that you love to solve that will make your life easier?
I believe, there's probably a solution for this. The first word that comes to mind when you say that is automation, and we have automation for a lot of different things, but the more that you can automate, the more your life gets easier. So being able to automate, if I could automate at least 50% of the things that I'm doing, um, I could like it would be like it's like 10 of me. So um I mean that's a dream come true. I'm sure for most people in marketing, like how many things can I automate and create a system for so that I can get more done and then be able to focus on like what one of the things that I feel like we struggle with in marketing and have a hard time to spend as much time on as we want is strategy. And strategy is highly important in marketing. Unfortunately, when you have to do a lot of rapid fire work or try to catch up on things, you don't get as much time to focus on the strategy. So if you've got more of that execution automated, you can focus more on strategy and analysis to make the marketing that you're automating more effective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally does. Totally does. So, looking back, if you could give advice to yourself when you were first starting out in marketing, what would it be?
I would just say immersion. like educate and learn as much as you possibly can. One of the best um bits of advice I got early in my career was from one of the old CEOs I used to work for. And she told me, she's like, Nikita, you're either green and growing or you're ripe and rotting. And for some reason it always stuck with me. And to me, what that just tells me is you never arrive, you never stop learning, you never stop growing. The market is always changing, and you have to immerse yourself in learning new things because things are always changing. Don't feel like, yeah, I remember when I graduated from college, I was just like, oh, okay, I've been in school for 16 years. I need a break. I'm tired of learning. And I think most people feel that way when you get out of school. But it's like you never stop, though. That's life. That's life. You have to constantly go to school. You have to constantly put yourself through education, and that's the only way you're going to rise to the top and be the best that you could be at what you do. So that's what I would tell my younger self.
That's well, that's powerful. That's a powerful way to close, especially because that keeps you curious. That keeps you just, it has that childlike imagination to it. Like you keep that, and then you keep learning. That's doing work with passion, right? So,
Absolutely.
uh, Nakita, I want to thank you for being on the show with us today, and I also want to give you the last word. So, if someone forgets everything about this interview today, anything we said, what is the one thing that they should remember about your company?
I would just say our number one goal is to make you feel secure and to solve that problem for you. And if you're looking for some physical security solutions to be able to do that, we can find the right solution for you. So,
Beautiful.
yep.
All right. Thanks again for being on, Nikita. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Take care. Bye, everyone.